All right, here's where we left off. We were talking about DNS and domain names, and these are the top-level domains. I mentioned last time how all the two-letter are country codes, which they don't bother to show you on here, but they are. We have mail. It used to be when the internet first came out, I used to sell domains because I ran my ISP. Getting a org name, org is for what? Non-commercial organization. Nowadays, it doesn't really matter. Anybody. You get a .org for yourself. You can get it for anybody. So they used to be very picky on some of these things. Not so much. The one they are still picky on, though, is edu. That one is difficult. You have to be a degree-granting institution. It used to be a 4-year degree. Now, 2-year degrees don't have it as well. So, but they are, changing a little bit the way they do it. But we know most of these. So normal stuff there. Those are the top-level domains. Okay. Now, it says they have also approved 240 country codes, which I kind of just mentioned. All right, there are restrictions. Only alphanumeric characters up to 63. All right, including hyphens, underscores, periods in a name, and no other special characters. So, can't have like a pound sign or dollar sign or something like that. But we're pretty much used to seeing periods, a few dashes. I don't think I've seen it. Everyone's seen an underscore in the domain name?
Yep.
You have one? What is it? Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember now because
I don't remember seeing one of those. But some get quite long. Shorter names are usually easier for people to remember, like pizza.com. Man, if I had just bought pizza, it sold for like $1 million last year or something. Damn, I should have bought that sucker. I could have just held it for 10 years, paid $8 a year, and made $1 million. So, oh well, you never know. But so that's kind of what a domain name is. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the host file. This is a very cool file. The host file says associated with host names with this IP. Way back when, remember we did the little lecture on what the heck the internet is? Well, way back when there was only a handful of computers on it. They just had a file basically that says this computer's there, and this one's there, and that's it. It was all done in a little piece of file, a text file. Well, that's still there. We can still use it. We don't use it much anymore, but we can. Okay? It's line by line, which we're going to look at in a second. On Unix, it's called hosts. It's in the user directory. In Windows, it's called hosts, and it's in this directory. Oh, I thought they had a slash thrown. Okay, I'm going to show you that file real quick. All right, I'm going to go to C, Windows, System, 32, drivers, etc. Okay? Now inside here, we're going to see a file. I'm going to open this file up with... Where's TextPad on this one? I use Notepad at work. All right. This file really doesn't say much yet. Okay? The way this file works is it maps this IP address to this name. Okay? So 38.25.63.10 is x.acme.com. That's all it does. It's a manual mapping.
Okay, those numbers can change.
Yes, they can. The problem is if I put them in here, they can't change.
Okay.
So that's why we don't use this anymore. Because if I was to put in, Yahoo, for instance, Yahoo changed their numbers, and my file wouldn't change. Well, I'm going to show you, let's hope this example works. No guarantees. Because Windows 7 changed a little bit. All right, I'm going to get the number for Google. Okay? All I did was a command called nslookup, name server lookup for Google. Gave me a bunch of numbers. Everybody okay with those numbers there? Those numbers, first of all, do you know why it gave me more than one? Most domains give you one. There's a thing called round robin. Now you watch. If I do it again, watch the order of the numbers. The top one's 106. Now the top one's 147. Now it's 99. Now it's 103. That's 104. See, they're rotating. It's called round robin. What that means is the first one to bring in Google gets one. He gets the next one. He gets the next one. He gets the next one. He gets. Well, then we start all over again. But then that way we're not all hitting the same server. So it's kind of like doling out the business over multiple servers. Well, not
because Google's so huge?
Yeah, but
Wouldn't Amazon have the same
So
similar
let's
type thing?
they all do. Not
So
not
like
all of them.
Facebook, would it have a lot more probably than?
Wow.
Now, wait a minute now. One thing you also might want to think about is they also go by region. They know where I'm querying from. Maybe in this area, I hit that one IP address. But maybe if you go out to the East Coast and do the same command, you get a different address. So it really depends. Okay, so it can be configured in multiple ways. That does not mean there's one Facebook server in the world. I mean, there's no way. It would literally be dead. But what that means is in this area, there's probably one. And it also could be load balanced another way. It could be running like in a cluster. I might have mentioned cluster before, but clusters basically have multiple machines running as one. Basically, turn one off, the others just keep going. I was at a tech demo on base a few years back. The guy from Microsoft demoing their clustering services. He had two machines up and doing stuff. They were basically clustered, doing the same thing. So he goes, oh, we just had a power surge. Turn one off. Everything kept working. Then he's like, flips that one back on. Gives it about 5 minutes to come up and do, gets all synchronized. He goes, what? The other one just powered up. And everything kept working because it was load balancing between the two. Same kind of thing here. We don't know, but that could be set up the same way. They might have 20 servers and they're doing the same thing. So there's multiple different ways they can do it. But I want to show you something here. I'm going to bring back up my text file. I'm going to shrink it so I can kind of see it on the same screen here. I'm going to add an entry for 74.125.73.106. I'm going to put in www.yahoo.com. Okay? Don't tell me I can't save it. This freaking Windows. Shit. Hold on. Crazy. It's Windows 7. This might not work. We're going to try, though. We're not giving up yet. Run as... Come on. Run as... Why did it give me run as? Oh, shit. I should be able to... Oh, wait a minute. I know. Hold on. I know why. Where's Notepad? We're going to get it. Don't give up yet. Give up soon, but not yet. Run as administrator. Yes. Yes. Oh, I can't do that on this one? Well, that just sucks. Open. Drivers. Etc. All files. Posts. There, now it's saved. Okay, so basically what I said was, if I type in www.yahoo.com, what am I going to get? That address, which is what?
Google.
Alright, so I'm going to go up here. www.yahoo.com. So, you can imagine me doing this somewhere. Okay? We actually use this, and it's still actually used a couple places on campus, but not our current secretaries, but a couple versions ago of our secretaries that work downstairs. Remember when MySpace was like it? Yeah, that was their job. It's like anytime I want to get anything done, in a minute I'm surfing MySpace. That's all they do. It pissed me off. They're on MySpace all day long. So I got permission. I went in and edited their host file, and I put in MySpace. I made it go to the Rose State website. So when I typed in myspace.com, guess what they got? Rose State College. And the amazing was they never complained. Can you imagine them complaining? Hey, I'm trying to surf MySpace, and I keep getting my job. Oh, maybe you should do something. But the host file is kind of handy. But there's some drawbacks to it. Obviously, we saw that I hard-coded this number. So if Google was to change that IP address next week, who knows what we'd get? Because this wouldn't be updated. There's viruses out there now that actually update this. They'll actually wait for you to go to your bank, a bank that they know about. They'll say, you use First National Bank. Then they'll add an entry in here for your bank's name with their IP address, the fake bank's IP address. So next time I type in my bank's name, I'm going to a fake bank.
And they have the same webpage.
Exactly. So it can cause problems because the name resolution scheme in Windows, there's many steps to it. But step one is check this file. So if you can get something in this file, you're golden. Because that is like, you can overwrite anything. You just saw it. Google came up, no problem at all. So, kind of scary. Okay?
That's my mom's laptop.
Okay. Now, if you want to do stuff like this, say you're a Yahoo, you hate Yahoo. Don't just put in www.yahoo.com. Put in that plus put in where my thingy go? Put it in without the www, and put it in again with the chat. And you have to put in all the different stuff that could go with Yahoo. Because they might click a link somewhere and go straight to chat.yahoo.com. So this way, I have, if they type in with www, if they type in by itself, if they type in with chat, if they type in mail, if they type in whatever. So you want to get all of them. Okay? Josh Pozia, a prior student of ours, he was a good guy. He worked for me for a while up here. Now he works at a bank. Josh was real big on Reddit and Failblog. It's web pages that got stupid jokes and stupid videos. He would do that all day long. So I went into the computers in the lab and I put all those listings, and they all went to an internal website that said, "Josh, get back to work." So whenever he typed them in, he said, "Josh, get back to work." So, that's good. So if you ever see something like that, you might be doing something wrong. So, all right, let me take those out of here so I don't screw it up for everybody.
Certainly don't go complain about it.
Exactly. It's funny how people never complain about those kind of things. Like, I'm trying to surf porn, and I keep getting this. So,
Going to the road state?
I know, it's amazing. So, that's what that file is used for. That's really the initial version of DNS. Way back prior to what we have today, which we're going to talk about in a second, this is what we had. So it's still there, still works. Not used much anymore, but you can use it. It makes your name resolution process instant, because obviously it doesn't have to check anywhere. But again, it's not updated. We've been waiting on you for 35 minutes. All right. Let's continue. All right. So here's what they look like. Bingo.games.com. You can put whatever you want in there, and they will work. Obviously, I just showed you how it worked. But you got to, in Windows 7, you got to make sure you run as administrator, run Notepad or something to edit it, because the directory is. There's a good reason for all that crap. It drives me crazy. So, all right. You don't need an alias, but if you do put in the alias, that way, if I just typed in bingo, it would work. So, a lot of times now, like you can just type in Yahoo, and it'll go straight to Yahoo. That's why you might want to do an alias in case. Yeah. But you can see how that works. All right. So how does this system work? It says associates names with addresses. Associates www.yahoo.com with a certain address. We do it because this stuff can change. Just like our phone book. I mean, does anyone ever change their phone number? Yeah, we've all changed our phone numbers at some time, or changed our address, or changed something. Can you imagine if it wasn't editable? Kind of sucks. So domain names change. Okay. So that's what it's for. It says it refers to the application layer service accomplishing the association. Basically, it's a program. Okay. It's an organized system of computers, database tracking, association possible, making it possible. So basically, it's a bunch of stuff out there, a bunch of computers out there, a bunch of phone books that are running this. We have 2 running here in our lab. Obviously, Google runs them, which I told you about last time. All your ISPs run them. Everybody has to run them. Domains, like Windows Active Directory domains, they have to be running it. If not, forget it. Your domain's dead. They can't find anything. Okay? The redundancy, it says many computers across the globe related in a hierarchical manner. There's 13 root servers, and I'm going to see if I can possibly show them to you. Let's see. Changed my password the other day. Hopefully I remember it.
That's pretty long password.
Maybe I don't remember it.
Maybe it's easier.
Maybe it's 5 digits instead of 20.
Do it. You can do it.
For error, I can do it.
How about... Come on. There we go. We're working. We're working.
That's what it wants you to think.
Oh, it's working. All right. Let's cruise up to the top here, and I'm going to open up this here machine. I'll get rid of all the rest of this stuff. All right, this is our virtual Active Directory controller. Okay, we have an Active Directory domain that we use for our labs, and we have a physical machine, but I also have a virtual machine running. Okay, this machine also happens to perform DNS. So I'm going to bring up DNS. All right, this is it. We have some zones in there, and I'm going to show you this tab here. Okay, something called root hints. Okay. On the slide a second ago, it just says there's a hierarchical system with 13 servers. There's the 13 servers. A through whatever the heck. A through M. There was hackers took down, I think, 11 of them a couple years ago. Didn't hurt anything. Because there's 13 of them. These are kind of like the top people. Okay. These are like the 911 service. Okay. You call them, and then they forward you to somebody else. They call the cops for you, or the fire department, or whatever. Whenever you're looking up a domain, first thing you do is you ask the root servers. When I type in, www.zombo.com, okay? If I have no clue where Zombo, I did show you Zombo.com, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
It's an awesome website. Can do anything at Zombo.com. Okay, so when I type in Zombo.com, I've never heard about it. So my computer, no clue. So what the first thing it does is it contacts the root servers. What do you think it asks them for?
Where's Zumbo.com?
That's what I used to think too.
Does it exist?
Actually, it says, who's in charge of .com? That's what it says. It says, who is in charge of .com? Because remember, there's all those top-level domains, .gov, .com, .org, blah, blah, blah. Who's in charge of .com? So there's root servers. All they do is tell us about top-level domains. So they say, hey, this guy over here is in charge of .com. Then I say, thank you very much. And then I ask him, hey, have you ever heard of Zombo.com? Then he comes back and says, oh yeah, Zombo.com is hosted by this guy. And I said, thank you very much. And I go to this guy. I said, okay, have you ever heard of www.zombo.com? And he says, oh yes, that's on that little machine sitting right over there. So basically, it's a multiple step process. Okay? If you look in here, like I have cyber.rose.edu. Okay? The machine I logged into a second was the very top one, VC. So it's vc.cyber.rose.edu. So if you were to type in that from your house, first thing that would happen is you would ask the top-level domain servers, those 13 machines, you'd say, hey, who's in charge of edu? And they would say whoever. I don't know, whoever that is. Okay? And then you would go to the edu group of people and say, hey, who's in charge of rose.edu? And they would say, oh, that's being hosted at Rose State. And then they would forward you to Rose State. Then you would contact Rose State and say, who's in charge of cyber.rose.edu? And they say, well, we are. And they say, great. Now who's vc.cyber.rose.edu? So basically, it's multiple queries. Okay. Now, if you look at them, you'll see, really, I just have a VC up here. I know it's hard for you to see, but it just says VC. That's the host, the actual computer. We got a computer down the hall that's set up, its name is VC, and it's in the vc.cyber, the cyber.rose.edu domain. Now, if I double click on this, actually it comes up and shows you the whole name. The full name is vc.cyber.rose.edu and gives us this address. Now, this is actually not the real address. This is an internal-only address. Our domain is different because we use it internally and externally. We go through a firewall. So internally, it's known by that number. These numbers here. But this domain is actually duplicated on the Rose State network, and they have the external numbers. So really, when someone looks for vc.cyber.rose.edu, Rose State gives them a totally different address. 164.58. something. But internally, actually I can show you that. I need this one. So if I do NS lookup, alright, it tells me I did NS lookup, name server lookup for that. It tells me, okay, the server I'm getting it from is the virtual Active Directory controller. Here's its address, and there's where it is, and there's its address. So if I do that same thing, and I say, oh, come on. Query refused. That just sucks. I'll do this. Well, stop. I missed the name. There. Damn it, it's still internal. Come on, give it to me. Well, I can't give it to you. Well, hell, I'm not gonna be able to give it to you. Sorry, because it's remembering it. But there is an external address. I just can't quite show it to you because we're internal. I was hoping I could get outside to show it to you. But that's pretty much what DNS does. Now, I handle multiple domains, rose.edu, rose.labs, and also stego.lab. Stego.lab I'm using for a project in another class. Stego.lab is a fake domain. If you go outside in the outside world and type it, it won't do nothing. That way I can make sure it works in my lab only. Okay. DNS also does something else called reverse lookup. That's what this one is. And it's actually what this one is. What reverse is if you know the number and you want to get the name, this one you type in the number and it tells you the name that goes with it. It's just like, name to number, the number to name. It's just like your phone number goes back and forth either way. Okay? So, let's minimize a couple of these things. So, I showed you the 13 root servers. Those are the guys in charge. If they get corrupted, if all 13 of them go down, we're kind of out to lunch. Because then it's like, I don't know who to call. Call Ghostbusters. What?
They're out there somewhere.
Yes, they are. They're located throughout the world. There's a couple in the United States. There's one in Asia. There's one in Europe. There's one out in South Africa. The cool thing is, you really don't do much with them. All you do is ask who's in charge of .com. So even if the one in the United States, all the ones in the United States go down, we can still query Asia or Europe or someone else because, all I'm asking them is where is .com. And once they tell me, I'm going to remember that because I have a caching feature built in. Kind of like, you ever hear a number enough times, sooner or later you're going to remember it. Well, after I ask them where .com is, I'm going to remember it until they tell me to not remember it anymore. And actually, that's a good question. Let me show you that. All right. I'm going to look at this domain right here. I'm going to look at here. There's something called a start of authority. I know it's a weird name for it, but basically, this record expires after 1 day. All right. So if you were to query this machine and ask for vc.cyber.rose.edu, it's going to remember it for a whole entire day. I mean, you're going to remember it. So you're never going to ask me again because you're going to remember it. Because when I gave you the information, I said, hey, here's the IP address, and please remember it for the next day. So you're good. And the odds are you're going to use it again, so not a big deal. So even with the root servers, they tell you how long to remember it for. So they probably say, okay, here's the guy in charge of .com. Remember it for the next 3 days. Okay? This is very configurable. I used to set mine to 8 days. Okay? When I ran my ISP. Okay? Because I didn't change my addresses that often. And if I can tell you to use the same address for 8 days, what's that going to do? First of all, it's going to speed up your resolution because you're going to remember it. Second of all, you're going to stop asking me so much, so I won't have so many hits on my servers. Then whatever I did, whenever I had to make some changes, like I did renumber my domain a few times, I would go in there and I would change it from 8 days to 3 days or 8 days to 1 day. I even went to a point there, I changed it, I was getting ready to do it on a Saturday. I brought it all the way down to 1 day. So on a Friday, I went in and told it only remember it for 1 hour. So that way, it was starting to make it expire quicker. So if you had asked me on it a Friday, I'll say come back the next day. Or, and when I changed it on Friday, I said come back in the next hour. Then I went and changed all my IP addresses. Then I knew everybody's records were instantly expiring. So once I got it all changed, then I went back into the system and says now you can remember for 8 days again. So there's an art to doing this. Kind of like the unlimited IP address we learned about in DHCP. It's a great idea, but there's problems. If I was to put this, it expires in 3 years from now, man, that would suck. You'd clear me one time for the next 3 years, you never come home. You never ask me again. So you wouldn't want that. Okay? I don't know what the limit is on it. You can even get down to seconds, but I don't know. Oh, and here, check this one out. See that right there? The responsible person is hostmaster.rose.labs. That's an email address. But you replace the @ with a period. It's the only place I know you do that. It's actually hostmaster@rose.labs. So it's not a valid address, but yeah, because that's weird. Because it's one of the two things that are. There another one that's screwy. That right there is wrong. That serial number, the way Microsoft does it is totally wrong. The way it needs to be done, I'll show you. I'll fix mine. 2011. Oh, is it the 29th? 09 29 01. Okay, that's what the serial number is supposed to be. Month, day, year, 01. Okay, that way I always know the last time it was updated. The whole deal on serial numbers, I told you a second ago, actually, I don't want to screw up any of this stuff in case William's playing with it, but I talked about redundancy, okay? Well, even with the Rose.Labs, I got 2 machines that do it. Even with the Cyber.Rose U, I got 2 machines that do it. So that serial number tells me which is the latest version, okay? And you can really screw that up. Say you say your serial number is 25, okay, and I say my serial number is 15. Who's newer? You, because you got a higher number. So it's very important to keep the serial numbers intact, because if I don't know what the serial number is and I just randomly pick a number and I edit mine, and me and you are supposed to replicate, but you have a higher number than me, then you're going to overwrite with the changes I just made. That's why if you use the serial number as the date, then at least it's a better idea. I don't know why Microsoft implements it that way. It will handle it the other way just fine, but it doesn't default to it. You'd think when you first make a record, it would default to the current date. It doesn't. It defaults to 1. It's just stupid. And if you did a test on it, it would come back with a failure. It would come back and say, warning, this is not a properly formatted serial number. It will work. But, with a serial number of 27, when's the last time I updated it? I've updated 27 times, obviously. I don't know when. At least if the date said, 2011, May 18th. Oh, May 18th. So that's one thing you need to do manually. But okay, so it has redundancy. Okay, I don't particularly like this. Well, let's try to walk through this. I made a better slide here in a second. But it talks about the client contacts its internal LAN's DNS server asking it for an address. So in other words, you asked me down the hall. You said, hey, Ken, what's the address for www.loc.gov? You asked the guy down the hall. And he forwards that on to your ISP. That'll be like OneNet or Cox or somebody. Then they forward on to your ISP's ISP. And then they forward all the way up to the root servers. Okay? Then the root servers say, oh, go talk to this guy. And basically it comes back and sooner or later you get the information. But the root servers don't give you the IP address. That's what I don't like this slide. They don't do that. All right. I added this in here. 2 different types of queries. Recursive and iterative. Recursive, the answer it queries itself, can ask other name servers on the client's behalf and return the answer it receives. In other words, I say, hey, Terry, what's the temperature? Okay. She's like, crap, I don't know. So he makes a few phone calls. Then Terry gives me the answer. Okay. He might call Time. He might call the Weather Channel. He might call 15 other places. Sooner or later he gets a temperature and gives it to me. So with DNS, I ask Terry, hey, Terry, what's www.google.com? And Terry does all the background work. He's out there and queries the root server, queries the .com, and queries Google, gets the information, then returns it to me. That's recursive. Okay? Iterative. That's when I said, hey, Terry, what time it is? He's like, dude, I don't have a clue. Call the Weather Channel. Then I call the Weather Channel. Then or I ask, he says, I don't know, check with the root servers. Then I would have to contact the root servers. Then I would have to contact the .com servers. So depending on how you have it set up, it can cause a lot of work on the client side or on the server side. Which one do you think is better? Recursive. So what happens is I'm asking Terry for www.google.com. He goes out and finds the information. Then he's going to store it for a while. Then all the rest of you ask Terry for www.google.com. Guess what? He's like, got it right here. So he already knows it. He's cached the information. He can return it to you instantly. If we did iterative, I'd ask him. He'd refer me to somebody else. You'd ask me for him to someone else. So basically, then we got 26 of us in here calling the root servers and calling the .com servers. But there are reasons to have both. Okay, the recursive is usually better. All right. 3 different components. It says there's a resolve where it says any host or internet needing to look up a domain name. Really, this could be a resolver. I needed to look up a name. Okay. Then we have the domain name servers. That's a database kind of thing I just showed you. It associates the name and the IP addresses. Okay. Provides information to resolvers upon request. Our server's sitting down there doing nothing. It's just waiting. It's listening. Anyone remember what port? On port 53. It's actually TCP and UDP, which is kind of weird. But it's listening on port 53. Sitting down there all day long. And the moment I ask it something, I said, hey, I need the address. He's like, oh, sweet. Gets the address, gives it back to me. So, provides information upon request. Okay? Then there's the namespace. This is an abstract database of internet IP addresses associated with names. In other words, the namespace is huge. It can be any domain name, anything. Okay? So it describes how they handle the information. In other words, the root servers, the top-level domains, the subdomains, the ISPs, all that stuff is considered the namespace. It's changing at all times. All right. A resource record says besides one piece of the database information, many different types depending on the function. I showed you one a second ago. I showed you an A record, which is also called a host record. Okay? A host record keeps information on a specific host. Okay? It can have the name, could have the type, could have the field, could have the time to live. There's just a lot of information that can be in there. Okay? Depending on the type of record it is, there could be more. Okay? Large organization, it says often maintain 2 name servers. We have 2. Okay? Primary or secondary. Everybody should have 2. I learned that years and years ago. They said, when should you get your first backup domain controller? When you get your first user. You should always have 2 domain controllers. Always. You should always have 2 DNS servers. It's one of those deals. You should always have 2. It's like you always have 2 cell phones. All right. That basically ensures connectivity. If one goes down, you got the other. You always want some sort of redundancy on your network. Okay? Each device must know how to find the other. Okay? It can be done automatically through DHCP. It can be manually configured. So we all know how to find the DNS servers because we looked in, DHCP. We give that out. I didn't show you that the other day, did I? Is it on that machine? You think? It might be. Let's go here for a second. And we talked about DHCP a little bit, didn't we? With Dora and all that? Dora the Explorer? Yeah. All right, here's my DHCP server down the hall. See? Here's all the addresses I've given out so far. Lunatic? Who the heck is Lunatic? I got Jeffrey's machine. I gave out all kinds of stuff. Look at all those addresses I'm giving out. Tons of them. Here's when they expire. Here's the type of address I gave them. Fred says he's none. Fred is actually a reservation. I set that up. So, all right. Now,
What are the ones with the blank names then?
it's just it could be something that just didn't return the name. It could be a special type of host. It could be, just DHCP is more of a broadcast thing. Sometimes it just doesn't return anything. It could be someone of the laptop plugged in that doesn't have a name configured. Could be a machine with a firewall on it. It could be all kinds of different things. Okay, so yeah, it's just. And sometimes you see duplicates in there, like that one there. That's weird.
The BS21101
Isn't there twice? Yeah, some actually here we can sort by name. Bet we see some duplicates. There it is. Look at all them duplicates. A whole bunch of them. That's because I set up a backtrack machine and I cloned it, and people just didn't rename it. That's fine. All the FTK utilities are all the same too. So, all right. Inside here, I can do different things. I can supply the router. I can supply the DNS servers. I can supply a domain name. I can supply a whole host of information. I can supply time offset, time servers, name servers, log servers, cookie servers, impress servers. Look at all this stuff. All kinds of stuff. What was that one I just saw? Oh, that web server came. I can supply mail servers this way. So basically, with DHCP, I can do a lot of stuff. Okay. Inside here, I look at my scope. My lease is for 8 days. There's that part about that whole unlimited thing, which I don't recommend doing. And I want to look over back at DNS for a second. Go to this one, I think. Alright, there's a button in DNS called aging. Okay? Which we're not doing, but now we are. Okay, what aging does is, the book's not going to talk about it at all, but it's kind of an important feature. With aging, we can set up scavenging. Scavenging is going out and delete the old records. Row state does not enable this and drives me bananas. Like, I'll move my machine downstairs, or actually, when I get a new machine downstairs, so I have the old one that's called BS13101. Okay? Then I get a new machine. So I name the new one BS13101 because I got rid of the old machine. Well, what happens if I don't enable scavenging in DNS, now there's two records, BS13101 twice with two different IP addresses. Because my new machine had a different MAC address, so we got a different IP address. So whenever I try to connect to it from a classroom, I can't because half the time it looks for the old machine, so it causes issues. With this, you can tell delete records after 7 days that haven't been used. So to go through there, and it'll say, hey, this record's old, and it'll delete it. So I need to enable it for that, and I'm going to enable it for this one. Alright, there you go. Get out of here. Keep this up in case we need to be. Alright, so we can use DHCP to automatically assign this stuff, or we can do it manually, which we saw do. Okay. Here's how we did it. Remember that? Should look familiar to some of you? Showed you all how to put in that Google address for your house. Alright, there's an older version. Okay. Alright. DNS. Oh, dynamic DNS. Oh, I love dynamic DNS. Let me show you where this one's at here. I can remember the name. It's not it. There it is. Sign in. Come on, you can do it.
Two speed, slow and stop.
Where's the little sign in button? Well, there it is. Dynamic DNS. I give addresses for all this stuff. Remember my house when I showed you some stuff in my house at the beginning of the semester? That dewey.mine.new goes to that address. Last time it was updated was April 28th. Okay? What this service is free. Okay? dyndns.com. Most routers support, like if you have a Linksys router, you can support it through, add an entry for this. It's just called DDNS, Dynamic DNS. You can get an account in here for free, but you can only have like 3 or 4 machines. I have more because I paid him 20 years ago. I paid him $20, so I've never paid him a penny since then. But I get extra. But this is dynamic. If my machine at home was to change its IP address today, this address would get updated. And there's actually a if you search on do it. Okay, if you go to, I'm not going to watch this video, it's like 20 minutes long. I just watched this afternoon, it's amazing. Go to YouTube, search for, I spelled it wrong, DEFCON, D-E-F, DEFCON. Y'all know what DEFCON is? It's a defense competition. It's basically in Vegas. It's a bunch of hackers. Go there, search for DEFCON 18 hacker computer stolen. And that's the one you want to watch. It's excellent. This guy talks about how his Mac computer got stolen. He was a student at MIT. He's a hacker by trade. Someone stole his computer and couldn't get it back. Well, he had dynamic DNS set up, but the problem was his computer was too secure, so the guy couldn't connect to the network, so for years it never got updated. Then all of a sudden it starts getting updated. Then he goes through the steps he did to actually track this guy to an actual house in Vegas by using dynamic DNS. Because every time the guy would turn his machine on, it would update the dynamic DNS record. Then he would be able to get in remotely, and he had screen capture software installed on it. So you get pictures of this guy. He's got Oh, it's so hilarious. Let's see if I can show you a couple pictures.
Don't steal from my hacker.
Yeah, so don't steal.
All right. I have a path.
See if I can see some of the pictures.
Let your account be F's on the.
He gets in, he gets all his
With my-
passwords, he gets.
I'm watching him.
Oh, he's buying credit. And he has pictures of the guy. I mean, he's got all these pictures. It's so hilarious.
Stuff in the shower?
Book page.
Oh, there's her face.
Present the many sexy faces of Melvin Guzman. I'm sure the ladies love that one.
That's so awesome. So go watch the video. Search for DEFCON, DEFCON 18 hacker computer stolen. Look for that picture. It's really good. I just don't have time to watch it now. So it's hilarious. But dynamic DNS can automatically update. I still use it today. I use it for my clients. Because I send Philip Neri down the street. Every now and then their address will change. So I just go to neri.mine.new. And I just picked mine.new because it's easy to remember. On that service, you can pick whatever you want. You can pick all kinds of different domains. And it's totally free. Okay? So the process. This is a service provider runs programs on the user's computer. It notifies when it changed. So if my router or my computer, you can run this on your computer too, rather than just your router. Whenever your IP address changes, it contacts this dynamic DNS and says, oh, here's my new address. So that's a way you can have a dynamic address, but still run stuff like I do to check my thermostat and all that stuff. Okay. Okay. Server launches a routine to automatically update the record. Okay. It's not a DNS replacement, but it's an automatic update of DNS. Okay. It can also do statically address, but you know, a lot of places get static addresses that don't need one. With this service, you don't need one. But there is a drawback. If your IP address changes too frequently, there's a slight delay, maybe 15 minutes. If you really need to get in it and you can't, well, that kind of would suck. Okay. All right, zero config. I don't particularly like this. It's basically making it super easy to set up. Okay. It's pretty much like it is now. The automatic configuration I was telling you about, and the wireless zero config is just. Okay, automatic updating of addresses, just a lot of stuff. It's mainly for small networks, okay, for printing and stuff like that. Okay. Different application layer protocols out there. We talked about TCP and UDP a little bit. They both use IP, which is the addressing component of it. Okay. You all know what HTTP is? That's the web. Hopefully, you all know what HTTP is. We talked. What?
Hypertext something.
Right. Hypertext Transport Protocol. Okay. POOP, we talked about DHCP, the ones that automatically assign the addresses. DHCP is used more now. There's a bunch of other ones out there. Okay. Telnet, terminal emulation used to be used a lot. It's still used somewhat. Let me show you. Well, I don't know if it's installed. We'll find out. Oh, it is. Sweet. Okay, so let me get out of here. Okay. All right. This is our router down the hall. I'm into the router with Telnet. I'm terminal emulation, so it's just like I was sitting at the router. Okay. And if you watch that video, he talks about this because he had it set up so he could SSH in. And there's one point he even made it was a Mac. He made it play music or play words. It has text to speech. So he put in "I'm going to get you," and he made it play over the speakers on the computer. So, but that's what Telnet is, terminal emulation. Okay, you can log into a remote host using TCP/IP. Once the connection is established, the keystrokes are sent to it. They're actually sent in duplicate, which it doesn't tell you that, but they are. So if you were to capture the traffic on the network, you see. For every letter I typed, it was actually sent twice. So, all right. Can connect dissimilar systems. I logged in from Windows 7 into a Cisco router. Easy enough there. You can control them remotely. Okay, it's notoriously insecure. There's no security on it at all. So you normally, like here, we don't allow anyone to connect into our routers from outside the network. You have to be inside. Okay. Our password is quite secret. It's secret. It's secret. It is secret. I always tell students, if you go in and screw it up, guess what? You have no internet for a while, so don't screw it up. All right, so there's telling it. FTP file transfer protocol. All right, got to show you that one too. Okay, I'm connecting into the file server down the hall to transfer some files. What's funny about this is, see how it tells you I'm connecting to a Microsoft FTP service? Okay. That's not usually good. It's called enumeration, because now if I connected to that, what did I learn already? I know the OS, I know everything, I know a lot of stuff already. Now, if I'm going to try to break into it, I can focus just on the Microsoft FTP vulnerabilities. I was actually assigned a computer system when I was at the University of Tulsa to secure FTP without doing any Windows updates or nothing. And one of the problems they said is, haha, it says Microsoft FTP with no type of systems you're running, and you can't fix that. They didn't think I could fix that. I went into the ftp.dll files built into Windows. I opened up with a hex editor, and I changed that so it says, don't you wish you knew, or something like that. So they're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I went to the DLL files, but I couldn't just do it in the DLL files because Windows has driver caching, which keeps overwriting, so I had to turn off driver caching, update it in the driver caching area, and turn it back on. But they're like, how the hell did you do that? That can't be done. Sure it can.
So you changed what came up on
Yeah, so instead of saying Microsoft FTP, it said, don't you wish you knew.
so people don't know where to start at. If they don't
Exactly. I mean, you're going to connect in and you're like, crap, is it Unix, is it Microsoft, is it Apache, or what is it? You don't know anymore. So yeah, it's still a vulnerability.
But they
But-
have to start somewhere.
Exactly. Now instead of, it's kind of like, you know where I live. Y'all know where I live. I showed you 1,000 times. But, I mean, if you're going to go attack me, you know where I live now. But if you didn't know where I lived, you'd be searching the whole countryside. All right. There's commands that are sent. You can transfer files. Okay, it allows anonymous, and it used to only allow anonymous. And if you turned off that, it would warn you. It was suck so bad. It was like, warning, are you sure you want to turn off anonymous? And if you didn't read the warning, you're like, oh no, well, yeah, you want to turn it off. But so there are a lot of commands out there for it. All right, there are a lot of graphical clients out there. I used to use WFCP a lot. There's also Putty, which is a handy one. There's a bunch of them out there. Okay, can transfer files between your web browser, blah, blah, blah. There's also a secure version. SFTP, I don't know if anybody uses it, though. All right, TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol. It basically is a connection list. The way that one works is rather than just connecting in, you tell it to connect with this username and password and get me that file. It connects, grabs the file, transfers it, and disconnects. It's mainly used like to update a configuration on a router, stuff like that. Okay, it can support a username and password. Okay, no directory browsing. It just really goes in and gets one thing and does whatever it's supposed to do. Okay. NTP, Network Time Protocol, keeps your clocks updated. Kind of important. Okay. I don't think we're running here because my clock's off every time I look at it. Okay. So let's see. Time synchronization is important for routing, all this other stuff. So good idea to keep your clocks updated. Okay. NNTP, not used much anymore. Network News Transport Protocol, Transfer Protocol. News groups. All news groups nowadays, nothing but porn. So if you ever want porn, go in the news groups. There are good uses for them still. Microsoft runs an excellent news service. Just for, like Microsoft products, you can go in, like Pete Vanagos, anyone ever met him? He used to teach here. Taught programming, was really good at it. He was a retired colonel, was really good at programming. He would spend all day long on the Microsoft news groups. And he would be answering people's questions all day long for free because he was really good at it. Microsoft would send him all kinds of, they sent him an MSDN subscription that cost over like almost $2,000. Send him that. They'd send him shirts and hats and all kinds of other stuff because he was so helpful to people. So there are good uses for this. Okay, but basically you can, it's kind of like a bulletin board. Y'all know what blogging is? It's kind of what this was. Okay. Ping. Saw that? Packet internet gropers for checking connectivity. We can connect in somewhere and hey, are you there? That kind of stuff. Okay. Can also ping our loopback address if we wanted to. Okay. There's an example. We saw this. I know we did, didn't we? If we did, we should have. Pretend we did. Okay. All right, that's the end of this chapter. Yay! Any questions on any of this stuff? Okay, it took what, 6 days? 3 days? I don't know. All right. Sorry it went a little overboard on this chapter, but Next class period, which will be Tuesday, we'll start on the next topic. Well, I'm probably going to cover IPv6 next. Either that or Chapter 10, one or the other.
Didn't he give the warning?
I'm
Didn't
sorry.
we ask for a warning last
Somebody walk that way. Were you sleeping over there or something? All right.
time?
So,
I just see the lights came on there.
any questions on this chapter? Y'all thoroughly understand?